All right, welcome back to the Winning Way. This is Zach Shank, your host. I'm here today with a pretty cool guest. Just so happens to be Matt Ehrenreich, who works for Gipper, who is season three's main sponsor of the Winning Way podcast. So I'm excited to kind of get the ball rolling here with Gipper, learn a little bit about Gipper, but then also give our listeners an opportunity, give you guys the opportunity to listen and take a look at what Gipper's got going on and what they can offer for you guys. So, Matt, thanks for jumping on with us today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to dive in a few things here and talk about it. But first off, I really want to learn about you, Matt, and kind of your process of how you got to Gipper. Obviously, as you and I have talked, you're an AD at one point, so we kind of want to learn a little bit about that process and where you were an AD at, and when did you realize to maybe transition out of the AD world and get into business here with Gipper, and what do you do with Gipper, and so on. So I'll give you the floor, and we'll hear a little bit from you here.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think first and foremost, I'll give you a little background on myself. So, as you mentioned, was previously an athletic director for the last 5 years or so. Worked in public education for about a decade. Started out as a middle school phys ed teacher. I think I can probably relate to a lot of your listeners in terms of why you go into that profession. And usually you have somebody, a coach or teacher, who really influenced you from a young age and realize that's something I'd love to do, seeing the impact that they had on how you grew up and the life lessons you learned through sports and all that good stuff. So for me, it was a no-brainer. You go to school, go to be a PE teacher, coach everything you possibly can, and that's really how I started out my career. Right, coach everything you can, be the best teacher you can. And I actually had a great opportunity from a pretty young age to go be an athletic director back in my hometown in upstate New York. So not necessarily right in my hometown, but close enough to where I understood the area and knew the people. So it was a great fit for me to start out and really get my feet wet in terms of the AD world. Had a really great opportunity to become a district athletic director a couple of years later up in the state of Vermont, where I currently live with my wife and our two dogs. So we had great experiences as an athletic director in New York. The opportunity to do something that would allow me to oversee 2 high schools was really enticing to me. The chance to kind of bring everybody together in one way through some coordination, just different processes and things like that. But, I still oversaw the, daily ins and outs at one school. So I was mainly hosted in there, but just making sure the other 2 high schools worked together in terms of how they operated. So that's been a great experience doing that. I really enjoyed my time as an athletic director. It's truly a thankless profession, but also one that I think is immensely rewarding when you can finally see the fruits of your labor come up as you see your kids grow and move on from being freshmen up to their senior year and so on and so forth. So, for right now, I transitioned recently to community and professional development manager for Gipper, which has been certainly a bit of a change for me and professionally, right? You go from understanding the ins and outs as an athletic director to a new marketing style position where, a lot of what I do is working with other athletic directors, building relationships, showing them the really cool things that Gipper does, but also how it can help them professionally. So in that sense, it's been a great transition and something that I think is valuable from my end because I can speak on my own experiences having used Gipper for the last couple of years. So in that sense, certainly unique as opposed to maybe some other employees who, didn't have that athletic director experience firsthand with the product.
Yeah, that is something, being in this profession now for almost 10 years, I love when I get a chance to talk to somebody that's selling a product or selling a platform, right, for athletics, who was an athletic director at one time. Because you have that natural connection, right? Hey, I was a coach. I know what it was like to struggle in this department. I know what it was like to have to bust your butt and work really, really hard, to do this, or scheduling, or keeping track of things on an Excel spreadsheet. Now you've got all these platforms and different things like that. So absolutely. And I'm sure for the people that you come across and you connect with, that goes a long way because, hey, look, I know what it's like to have to, back in the day, get on Canva or create something in Word or, Photoshop or whatever. Right. Maybe we're dating ourselves there a little bit, but still, that's a huge thing though, because it just bridged the gap. right? It bridges that gap and creates a relationship because you know what I'm looking for, and in return, we know we're going to get a good product because, or else you wouldn't be working for them, right?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, the first time we met Zach, I'm pretty sure eyebrows raised when I mentioned I was a previous athletic director, right? Because, like you said, there's that collegial environment between ADs. Nobody quite knows what an AD does except for other ADs,
Absolutely.
and that's just something I've always found true. Because if you're not in the thick of it and don't know the processes involved with what actually happens, you can kind of have a surface level idea of what it looks like, but until you do it, you don't really quite know.
Right.
I always say this about education in general. It's one of these parts of life that everybody experiences, right, in one form or fashion growing up. But the back end part of it, of how it actually runs and ticks, not everybody gets that experience. So that's certainly immensely valuable. And you're right. I've been lucky enough to go attend some conferences representing Gipper. It's not only its product, but the people that are a part of the company too, just phenomenal people. But that relationship standpoint certainly becomes a little bit stronger once they understand, hey, okay, this person's telling me this. I can probably take their word for it in terms of how well it's either helped or supported them in their career.
Yeah, absolutely, and makes it easy to relate with each other, and the understanding is there. Now, talking about Gipper, obviously, some of our listeners may not even know what Gipper is at this point, and we want to tell them what it is. So you've got Gipper. Now, obviously, we deal with athletics. We focus towards coaches and athletic directors, but Gipper focuses a little bit more than just athletics. So give us the rundown on what Gipper does, what the product is, and how the resources can be used within a school.
Yeah. So Gipper in itself is a platform product, whatever you want to call it, that essentially is going to help elevate the way that you present yourself as a program or school, right? And by doing that primarily through, social media is the big focus that we have with Gipper, right? How you present yourself on social media means a lot. So if you're putting out something that doesn't look professional, doesn't look clean, you're missing an opportunity there to help yourself out in terms of promoting yourself and your program. Now, Gipper is kind of this, I like to call it a holy trio, right? It's super easy to use, but it looks amazing, and it makes your life that much easier because it really just changes the way that you approach your daily life as an athletic director, understanding the impacts that it will actually have. So when we look at like a media creation platform, you think, okay, that's great. It looks super nice, but what does that do for me? Well, inherently, there's a whole lot of things to approach here. So, Gipper itself, it's not just, here's today's game or here's today's score. There's things as far as highlighting your students, putting out your weekly schedules, all these little things that save time in the long run, and understanding the fact that social media is a tool that hasn't really been utilized, I think, in the way that it probably can be for the last couple of years, right? It's finally starting to pick up as people start to realize, wow, this is a tool that everybody uses in their own personal life. So why can't we use it to help highlight our programs and meet parents, community members, students where they are by presenting that information? I think in terms of ADs in general, like one of the hardest things to do is just reaching out to people to get them the information they need to know, right? The start of the season, what's the schedule look like? What time does the game start? Who are we playing? All of those things, a few years back, it was like, we're putting it all up on the website. So the website's going to have all the information that you need. That's great, but you started to see that people didn't always go to the website, right? They would end up calling the school, or they'd ask somebody else, or they'd hope that their kid comes home at the end of the day and tells them, hey, the game's actually at 4 o'clock today instead of 4:30 because it's going to get dark now that it's fall season, right? So, in that sense, here's this immense tool that looks great. It's going to change the way you communicate with everybody in your school building. And it's easy to use. And those are kind of those, like I said, that's that trio, right, that I talk about that makes Gipper such a special product in my eyes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like what you're talking about is creating this content and creating content for social media, creating the content and pictures to even just transition that and put them onto your website. I've seen different schools doing different things here. We're don't mean this to offend anybody, but we're a lazy society, right? I would rather look at a picture with some highlights and some bolded terms than have to read a paragraph, right? if I can cover that paragraph's information in a picture, then that is great. And so you think about it. Hey, this week's schedule at a glance. It's, all of these things, but it's briefly listed rather than, written into a paragraph. And that goes to people. And one thing I noticed after we started using Gipper here at Eagles View, we went up in views. And if you look at all of our analytics on everything that we've done on our social media, everything went up, right? Like we still had, we were putting out decent content, but now that Gipper is uniformed and it helps create this level of customizing our social media, our athletic department from a social media standpoint, our views, the people that we've reached, the amount of likes and the kids sharing has just skyrocketed from what it used to be.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because you're absolutely right. The thing is, right now, you look at any professional team, club team, college team, they have this whole team of people who are all dedicated to the social media experience, right? Making sure that on Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is, that it looks super professional, coordinated with their graphics and colors and, up-to-date photos and all of this stuff. They have all this whole team that comes together to do this. Well, the Gipper Experience is essentially taking that whole team that you see at the college level or professional level and putting it on one platform. So somebody who has maybe no experience at all with content creation or social media graphics or anything like that, so that they can easily go in, update, edit, change, whatever it is, so it looks good, represents your school in a positive way, and ultimately, like I said before, save you a lot of time as an AD. So you're going to start seeing your engagement skyrocket when things look great and are easy to read.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, our next question / topic there was how is Gipper important to an athletic department? Well, I think we just answered that, in describing, what the product was. But as an AD, now let's ask Matt, when you were an athletic director, did you use Gipper prior to, obviously joining Gipper as a full-time employee? Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a colleague of mine. It's probably like 45 minutes away, but we're all in the same state association. We're all generally aware of each other. But he was a pretty early adopter of Gipper, and I had mentioned to him, as I was just kind of starting my social media at the school, really wanted to boost this up a little bit better. Now, at the time I was making my own graphics. I've got a little bit of Photoshop experience, so I'd probably elevated a little bit higher than your average athletic director. I probably credit to my young age, right? I grew up with computers, so it's just second nature to me. But in general, I saw this content coming out that was just simple as here's a photo of a kid that was playing in like a basketball game. The school colors are there, and just this like clean graphic. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you look like a college or like a really top tier program. And I'm thinking, why does he get to do that, but I don't, and that was my first reaction. And I think there's something to that too, for athletic directors in general. Like you see someone else doing something that's really great and you get a little bit jealous. Like I kind of like to have that too, So me and my own jealousy, reached out and said, hey, what are you using here? You mentioned, hey, it was Gipper. So, this was back in 2020, prime COVID time. Everybody's at home. Gotta really update what you're doing to make sure it's, what you're putting out there is easy to read and people understand it, looks professional, so that way it comes across as professional. So, it was a no-brainer for me. I said, I got to get this. So I get it, and it starts integrating into my daily routine, right? So the way I use Gipper in general, and I share this with people all the time, especially if we're at conferences and I talk to them, I said, look, every day I would go in to Instagram because I wanted to make sure kids knew where games were. I wanted to make sure my parents knew what was happening, but I also wanted to look good. So essentially what I did was I would create stories on Instagram, and every day I'd get like 300-400 people would click on my Instagram stories just to see what games were happening that day, because I'd be posting, hey, it's game day. Boys soccer, 4:30 versus South High, located on this field. And what I started to realize was, at first you think, wow, this is a lot of content, right? This is a lot of stuff you got to do. You're going to do this every day. Well, yeah, because what it did was it took away from the number of questions I got in emails. I got way less phone calls because people started to realize, wow, I can get this information every day just by going on the social media platform that I'm already on anyway, right?
Absolutely.
So it kind of fed in itself and really grew into this thing where, then I was using the actual posts for more special opportunities, senior games, that kind of thing, player commits to a college, celebrating those kind of things. But the daily ins and out posts, I used to use stories all the time. But it's, you ask, how does it help? Like I said, it saved you a ton of time because of the way Gipper worked. I wasn't spending all day in the platform, carefully clicking my mouse to try and drag things around, or looking for the right font, or making sure the right color is correct. The platform provided all of that. Once I had my colors saved, my logos updated, all I really had to do, the hardest part, honestly, was picking which graphic I wanted to use because there were so many cool ones. So I was like, which one do I want to try to use? So in that sense, it was really self-fulfilling and really fed on itself the more I started using it and the more people understood what was happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as you kind of go in here and we're talking obviously about Gipper and the system, how often is Gipper updating the system and putting out new templates, or how often are you guys tweaking it on your end to make it better for the users?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the things that really drew me to Gipper, right? I think anytime you're using some sort of a platform or tool that's supposed to save you time and help you out, you'd expect it to not only work, but also continue to get better. And then also to have a rapid fire response if you do need help with something. So shout out to Gipper support team and our customer champions. They're rock stars. I think our average response time is like 2 minutes from the time you submit a question. So they're just phenomenal. But to get back to your question, the platform itself is always updating. They're always looking for new ways to improve that experience. I think back to 2020 when, Gipper's in this early stage of a platform, the number of templates has just skyrocketed. And a lot of that comes from user feedback. We start working with these athletic directors who are like, hey, I'd really like to get a template that shows the golf scores after our golf match. You guys don't have a golf template. So what do? We go into our development, we say, we need a golf template. Creative director takes a look at it, makes some really awesome art, goes into product development. Boom, there's a new template on the platform. Turnaround's going to obviously depend on what else is going on in the roadmap. But, hearing that feedback is so important to us because it allows us to keep updating and editing. So, when you look at Gipper as a whole, it's constantly evolving, constantly adding new features. Because we understand that the world is always adapting as well too, and there's always new things to add and implement as well. So both creatively and from the product side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, just jumping on today, kind of putting out there, we had senior night for volleyball here last night. So we put out a win and congratulate our seniors. But I noticed that we've got, it's October. So October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And you guys were plugging out there and put out some new templates. And, all the way down to merchandise where you can promote your merchandise sales within your athletic department, things like that. I mean, it's just phenomenal. The templates, you answered that question, but as a user, it's almost like, I don't know if I'll ever use every template that's up there because I just don't have enough events. There's that many. So
yeah, it's funny you say that, Zach, because I was going in and as I was sort of preparing and making sure that I touched base on like all the things, like I wanted to give you kind of an idea of what exactly it is that we offer, right? So there's like a whole lot of categories. Not only are things sectioned out by sport, game day, score update, whatever, but we've got announcements, countdowns, game days, score updates, award celebrations, quotes, schedules, lineups and rosters, commitments, community engagements, and then everything from like Twitter headers and avatars, like anything you can imagine, all within this easily editable foundation where you can have your branding committed to whatever that is that you're doing in seconds. Like, no joke, 3 clicks and you're done. Maybe add some text in there and you're good to go. Yeah. So it's truly amazing the amount of feedback we've gotten to be able to add, tweak, and update, because I think one thing that's also important to remember too, and anybody who works in schools knows that no two schools are really the same, and there's always unique instances, opportunities that are presented across different buildings. So that's why we like hearing that feedback, right? Hey, I've got this kind of situation. This is something I'd like to see. Okay, great. Let's find a way to make this work, because ultimately that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as we're talking about templates, those of you that are able to watch this episode, and if you don't watch it and you're listening to it on one of our outlets here, jump on YouTube and go to the Winning Way podcast. We're just kind of slowly starting out on YouTube, but you can see Matt and I kind of in a sense live. But if you take a look at this overlay here is one of our weather delays or canceled things that we used, Matt, last week with the hurricane. And you guys had the lightning and the thunder template in there, and it really provided some cool things here. But we put that out, and it almost, we almost didn't even have to send out emails or a mass communication, because this did the job. And it really, really helps. But just you can see some levels here of things that are being able to use. You can edit your font. So if you've got an actual font for your athletic department, which we do as well, you can see that there on the top. We've edited that, and we can change it and really create a really cool graphic here through Gipper. So just kind of give them an idea. Give them an idea, Matt. Let them see that. But as we transition, we talk about templates. We talked about the endless numbers of templates, right? Let's get into the topic that everybody wants to know, right? What are the packages? How does pricing work? And honestly, that was pricing. When we start talking about it, I'll add my opinion in there. That was something that, I was very shocked with pricing. So, and depending on what type of school you're at, depending on what your budget is, pricing is always a big thing. So what type of packages do we have? What tiers, levels, how many? And then also, how does pricing look for those athletic departments and their budget?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start out with the easiest, right? And that's free 99. So essentially, when you look at our plan tiers, we have a 14-day free trial, right? This is, anybody can sign up for this. You can try it, no cost, no nothing. Just come on down, take a look at it. We'll actually let you use all of our pro features, which I'll talk a little bit about pro in a second. For 14 days, that lets you get into the platform, see if it's worth it and works for you. Chances are most people I do talk to end up saying, wow, that's really great. Love that. But yeah, so we have our 14-day free trial. Our basic plan is $625 annually. That essentially allows you to have one user access, typically your athletic director, general AD. That's going to have access to almost all of our templates, right? We're looking at everything that's in our database, plus also some of our motion templates as well too. This is definitely a common plan for sure for somebody who, maybe they have a smaller athletic department, or maybe just are just starting and want to make sure that they're, doing everything the best they can. But, I've started to see a lot more people sign up for our pro plan. So our pro plan is $1,500 per year annually. So when we look at our pro plan, there's a lot of different things that differentiate it from our basic plan, right? So, when you have a jump like that and you want to make sure that this is valuable, to start out, there's the addition of video templates. So those of you that are at games are able to take videos of your kids who are actually playing and participating, plug and play video templates. It's a whole level of professionalism that is presented when you're using that. It's really important that you understand that it just adds an extra element to that for sure. But I think the bigger selling point for the pro plan for a lot of people is the AD who maybe likes to delegate things a little bit more to their teams, right? So if you're an AD who says, hey, I've got this football coach, I've got this basketball coach, soccer coach, whatever, they've got their own social media presence, and you want to make sure that what they're putting out is also professional and looks great. We have this edition called Teams, where essentially you can create your own experience and delegate that availability of Gipper to your coaches. So they can sign up, they join your team, they can go in and they see all the same templates, all the same colors, all that stuff. And it's truly, it's again, the time-saving piece is really important, right? Maybe you're an AD who oversees 16 varsity sports in the fall season, and you've got some varsity teams, maybe you even do middle school too. To be able to say, hey, John Smith, can you want to do this? You're doing social media. Here, why don't you have access to Gipper? And I'll tell you, the feedback we get from coaches is like, how can we never notice this? How did we not know that this existed? And again, like, the learning curve to figure it out, it's not rocket science. So you can honestly like hand the keys over to them and they'll figure it out. It's just that easy. So when we start looking at having that unlimited number of users within, your school, we say unlimited, but we want to make sure it's within your building, right, under your supervision if you're the athletic director. That's just a huge value add. And rather than buying, 6 basic packages, here's the pro plan, which we're definitely starting to see a lot more people do that, especially as coaches start to get a little bit more aware in terms of like the value that social media brings for them. So the last piece of your pro plan that I think is probably one of the biggest, I guess I could say sellers, I suppose. I usually try to avoid the word sale or sell, because to me, it's all about value. Is our new product called Content Requests. And this is available only for our pro plans. The concept of Content Requests is an easy, organized way for you to be able to collect photos and videos from people in your community. Maybe it's people within your school building, pretty much anybody. Essentially what it does is it creates a link that you can send out through email, text, whatever it is, with a prompt that says, hey, can you send me a photo or video of, you cheering on the football team, wishing them luck on football on Friday night. Essentially what that does is it comes back and it goes into your Gipper account directly. So you don't have to go in and manually upload anything. It naturally gets organized. It gets put back into your account. So that way you can easily upload it into a template that's over here with Gipper. It's an immense time saver. And I tell you, I've seen some really, truly amazing use cases for this product. One of them, I know somebody just recently put it on their rosters at soccer games, football games. So that way people can actually upload pictures they take when they're at the games and experiencing them. So they go ahead and they put it into your account and there's content for you without any problems whatsoever. So I know one of the biggest issues I know that a lot of ADs will say is like, I really have a hard time finding really good quality photos, or I have a tough time actually getting this one from the golf match because I can't be at the golf match because I got to be at the field supervising soccer or football. Or maybe there's a really great a goal that was scored in an away game. Well, these parents have started to find out that they can upload these videos and photos to that Gipper account, maybe shoot the AD an email and say, hey, got the game-winning goal on film, just uploaded it to Content Request. And there it is for you to go ahead and post. It's truly amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge because, like you said, as busy as we are, we cannot be in more than one place at a time. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have a photography team or a yearbook team or somebody who's directly connected with athletics, how do you get the content? And I can't tell you how many, for us, middle school, we have middle school JV and varsity sports. How often do we miss middle school sports? A lot. And I just don't have content for middle school sports. So sometimes it's hard to produce something for them if you don't have something to put out there. So that's a huge, huge thing there. Now, here at Eagles View in my department, we have the basic plan, but we're a small school and it is perfect for us. And so, ADs, if you're listening, each plan, it works for your department. Your big public school, obviously the pro makes sense and things. And even if you are, find one in there that works. Now, that takes us to kind of halftime here in a sense. And if you are interested in checking out one of these packages, you can see the code here at the bottom of the screen. But go on to gogipper.com and type in the winning way 10, and you'll get 10% off any one of these plans that you decide to look at. You can go in there, schedule a demo. They'll reach out with you. But again, type in that code winning way 10, and they will get with you and hook you up on 10% off. So that's pretty good. You can't complain about that, right? Now, as we kind of transition here towards our closing stuff here, let's say somebody goes on, signs up. What is the process for signing up? Once they sign up, once they schedule that demo, whatever the process is there, are they assigned a contact manager and things like that? Kind of give the listeners an idea of how that process looks.
This is really the start of the show here, right? Is this experience that you get when you work with Gipper? Is this environment that is helpful and supportive to make sure that you're not left not knowing what's going on? right? So essentially, if you're interested, here's the way it works. Like you mentioned, go to Gipper.com. At the top right-hand corner of your screen, there's a book a meeting or book a demo link. It's a gray box. I actually think it says schedule a demo. But anyway, you click that, you book a time with somebody. It could be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you've got in your time inside your schedule. That person will walk you through exactly what the ins and outs are of the product, show you how it works, not to the in-depth point where it's going to be everything you need to know, but enough to where it explains and shows the product, the ins and outs of that. But once that happens, if you say, wow, this is super valuable, I think I could go with this, and it's something I'd like to do, that commitment then puts you in front of our customer champions, who are really the rock stars of Gipper, right? They're there to make sure that you know everything that you can do with Gipper, and also to help take feedback if there's something that maybe you want that you don't see there. Yeah. But you're never really left alone in terms of trying to figure out, how do I do this? How do I do that? We've got knowledge-based articles for just about everything that you might need to know that our customer champions will send out to you ASAP, just to make sure you're supported, valued. And you don't have to be the social media expert or this graphic design expert to be successful when it comes to using this platform. It's truly meant for everybody. And, I pitch and say it's so easy, but, there's also a lot of advanced features in it too. So you can honestly take this to whatever level you'd like to, and however you're used to. But yeah, essentially your customer champions will work with you, make sure you're totally set up for success. They'll get your account set up, get your school colors, your logos, etc. And they just make sure you're primed for success. They always pick on me because when I first started, I felt like I knew everything when I first picked up with Gipper, right? I get in the account, I'm like, just let me have it. I know what I'm doing. And I figured it out. But then as I sort of transitioned to this new world where here I am as an AD, and I'm like, that's a really good idea. I wish I knew that, right? And all I had to do was reach out to my customer champions and ask them that question. Yeah. And here I was missing like this other feature that I didn't even think about, because I was like, oh, right. All I got to do is send an email or ask somebody. So they're great people.
Now, I've got two customer champions, and that is Jenna and Hugh. So give them a little bit of a shout out here on the pod. And they work with me. Jenna works with me more so on the podcast side of it, and Hugh works with me on the school side. So, but daily, if not every other day, emails of ideas and how things can be helpful. I don't think it's daily, but it's pretty regularly sent out, which is great. Gives you ideas. Take a look at it. You always like to look at them. You're getting emails from them with new, hey, check out what so-and-so at this school is doing with their content and things like that. So really, they're just kind of giving you some fresh ideas and things like that. And really spreading the wealth of Gipper knowledge, if you will. Now, as we kind of transition, you, I believe, wanted to share your screen. Do you still want to do that here, Matt, for us?
Yeah, I think it's really valuable, especially to those who are watching this on YouTube, to see Gipper in action, right? Talk is great, but to be able to see it, I think, is super important. Yeah. So in that sense, I would love to do that.
All right, I'm going to look at this and see if I can transition it over to you.
I think I might be able to. I've got a button here.
Yep, go ahead and give it a try. There you go.
How am I looking?
Perfect. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna
see the platform okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I want to take a step back. I mentioned before about my stories when it came to Instagram, right? Every day I'd put up something, and I mentioned it really didn't take that long to do. I want to show you exactly what this looks like. Here's the Gipper platform in all of its glory, right? So you go in, here's your template, looks super clean, nice photo, great graphics. You're going to have your school colors that, whether it's cardinal red or yellow, blue, whatever it is that you do. So it makes it so easy for you to actually go right in here and actually select the colors. I'm going to do a Gipper update here. There's some Gipper colors, right? See how easy that was to change the entire theme and view of that template? Here's your gallery. Anytime you have any pictures, so I'll just go into a couple here. They'll show you anytime you upload any of your photos, videos, whatever it might be, that allow you to put this right into the platform.
Mm.
Plug and play, jumps right into your platform. You know, you can move your items around. So maybe you want to get a photo of this guy, maybe you want to move it around, get the photo of the quarterback, whatever it might be. All the different edits and updates you could possibly imagine. You know, one little highlight here too, I will also mention, we've got a great logo database that's attached to this platform. So you could actually type in any school you might know, and there's your logo right there.
Hmm.
So you don't even have to upload it yourself. It's something that I love that feature. It's amazing. But maybe you have your own logo, that kind of thing. Look how easy it is to update that.
Yeah.
It does not take much time at all. There's your text box. You know, there's game day. You could change this and say, maybe I want to have a football game today. Super easy to do. Takes no time at all. When I showed you, when I was talking earlier about the amount of templates, well, if you can see my scroll bar over here on the right, this not only goes down this far, but it also, each of these continue to scroll this way too. So we have what's called different packs, right? So these are essentially different styles of templates that would fit the mold based on whatever kind of theme you might want for that season, right? I know a lot of athletic directors will pick a certain pack, this champions pack maybe, and say, this is the template I'm going to use for my score updates. Maybe I'll do it for a game day post. This is one of my favorite templates that we just came out with. You were asking about, tell me a little bit about how often they update things.
Right.
This just looks so clean. I love the look of it. It's so easy to go in and change your photos, update your colors, whatever it is that you might be doing. Like I said, if I wanted Gipper colors, I mean, it just changes it that easily. So anyway, I'm going to stop sharing there. I wanted to give just a quick idea of what that looked like so you can see it in action and how simple and easy it is. And Zach, I know you're a pro at it at this point. So to you're like, yeah, no brainer, no problem. But there's something to seeing not only the multitude of templates we have, but just seeing it in action makes a whole lot of sense too. So I keep saying it's that easy. It really is.
Yeah. Now, one of the big things that this was a huge question for me when I first signed up with Gipper, and was how convenient is it to use Gipper on your phone? And you know, the comment and with talking with the sales rep there during that time was, hey, it is very user friendly on a phone. You know, because the biggest fear is, I'm not sitting at my desk. I'm at a football game. I'm at a baseball game. I'm in the gym. I'm doing this, and my phone is my lifeline. You know it as a former AD. Everything is on your phone. So how easy is it to pull up Gipper on your phone? Is there some things in the works maybe to, you know, modify the phone device there or whatever? So fill us in on the phone and Gipper.
So I think I'll start with saying it'd be pretty hard for an AD to be supervising a football game on Friday night, run back to their office, create a template, and then come back to the field, right? Chances are something would happen. We all know, right? The minute you step away, something would happen. So when we look at Gipper on the go, absolutely optimized for mobile use, right? You go right into your mobile web browser, same functionality, same everything. We do have a little something in the works in terms of a product update that's been very, very heavily requested from a lot of people that I think is going to change the way the ADs approach being at games when it comes to their social media experience. Because like when you're at a game, you want to be able to update a score pretty simple and easily. Maybe you want to post something out that looks professional and branded. But again, you don't want to go back to your office, to your computer, or whatever that might be. So we've got something coming up very soon. I will say that I won't give it away completely, but I will say that it is it's going to make the user experience from the mobile side that much easier. And there's been a lot of hard work that's gone into it, and I think it's just going to take everything to the next step. You know, everybody, as you mentioned, is glued to their phone. So anytime you can get something optimized for your phone, that's exciting.
Right. I love that. I can't wait for that to be dropped and put out there for everybody to kind of see the new stuff here. Well, tell us where obviously we can go to check out a demo. And I know we've briefly talked about it before, but as we close here, tell us where they can go connect with Gipper on social media, connecting with you on social media, go to Gipper, schedule a demo. Tell us where all of that is located.
Yeah, absolutely. So our main website, gogipper.com. Easy enough from that website. Again, top right-hand corner, schedule a demo if you're even remotely interested. Our people are really great in terms of listening to what your needs are as a program. That's going to be really important for us to understand because we can't quite curate your experience without knowing what exactly it is that you need to use it for. So go to gipper.com, website, top right-hand corner. On Twitter, at GoGipper. That's our main Twitter account. There you can see some really great inspiration, other people, athletic directors that are using these templates. I used to scroll through it all the time to see how are people using these templates. Is there a unique way that maybe I missed? But also just to get a chance to connect with other ADs as well too. I myself, I'm on a Twitter as well too, and that's at Matt E Gipper. Feel free to follow me. I definitely take the approach more of I celebrate our other athletic directors, but I also try to share some insightful information as well too. One of the things that I head here at Gipper is our professional development, as well as community, and a lot of that comes down to making sure that we're connecting with ADs, but also providing them with some learning experiences that can make them better athletic directors, but also maybe just a chance to learn something new. So I like to share a little bit of that stuff from time to time as well. I'll also give a quick plug to some of our webinars as well too. We've been doing those pretty regularly. If you get a chance to join those, you can see them. Check our Twitter account. We're always posting about them. We've actually got one coming up next week on Wednesday. Love to see you on there. That would be the 12th. So so gogipper.com, at gogipper, or at Matt E Gipper. Those are the ways you can keep in touch with us.
That is it. Well, Matt, I appreciate it, man. I know that this has been very insightful for our listeners. I'm excited for season 3 and Gipper jumping on board with the winning way and really showing what you guys can bring to the table in your school, but also in athletics as well. So thanks for jumping on with us today. This is Zach Shank with the Winning Way podcast. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter at The Winning Way. And if you want to jump on and feel like following me as well, that is at coach_ZTS. But until next time, enjoy. Still ticking. Luckily, we're just recording. We're not live on anything, so I'll edit this if need be. It won't end it.